Okay. Hi. I guess I'm live. What do I need to press? Okay. I am still waiting for 20 seconds until my hard drive is released so I can wipe it clean so I can start recording this thing. But welcome to everybody who has found this stream and come all this way through the precarious tunnels of internet to find me in here. And today we are gonna do some art. If anybody is hearing me right now, please let me know how the sound is. I think the YouTube window is a little bit tall so I can see the chat. Okay, I'm gonna be deleting 2 terabytes of data right now. I'm listening to myself with the headphones so I can hear the sound a little bit. Hello, MD Francisco Mercado. Okay. The hard drive is wiped clean. Each one of these is like 2 terabytes of video footage. That's how much stuff is at least in one of my YouTube videos. And I've been doing this in 4K ever since I started the entire channel pretty much. I think 99.9% of my videos are 4K videos. Make sure that the lens are zoomed in. Okay. So today we are going to be using the portrait brush, and I'm already sorry if somebody came here for some super advanced painting stuff, but I'm really going to be just doing something that is not that common for me to do, and it's people. It's been literally over a decade since I did characters professionally, so I'm super rusty. And I will also be posting all of these palettes to the membership downloads. I should be doing the download folder right after this stream, but we might end somewhere around midnight, so I might have to battle through that, but I will try my best. All of the channel members who are on Discord, there will be a link in the chat, and I will be doing an official announcement to everybody who is a channel member on the post, when I add more stuff to the download folder. Somebody's saying that this is their first live stream. Always missed live stream. This is the first one. I haven't. It's exciting. Did I already start the recording? No? Damn it. It's so easy to forget. And then I have no material for doing any sort of painting, basically. So that's not great. I'm gonna have the live stream on a small screen here on the left, so I can see if what I'm painting is working in small scale. I'm trying to keep my painting in full scale or zoomed into the section that I'm painting for as long as possible. By the way, this is from the previous stream, the base layer. So I thought that I'm going to be needing lots of texture for this, so why not start by stealing my own stuff, basically. The portrait brush is very easy brush to use. You can do very soft blends with this, so it's great for skin, but it's also great for clouds. So I recommend not limiting the brushes to what the name might imply that their use is. So if you have my oil brush set from Gumroad, all of the brushes have been tested for months and months. So part of that testing for me is always to make sure that the brushes work in different types of scenarios. I'm the one person who absolutely hates brush sets where they have like specialized uses that like for one specific thing that you're supposed to use that. And as an art teacher, I don't think that it's good to limit anybody that like with this tool you can do these things. I think when you learn to paint by utilizing the brush strokes to depict different types of materials, you gain like way more skills as an artist much faster. I also set like all of the different tools to the same brush. So the eraser is the portrait brush, the smudge tool is the portrait brush, everything is the portrait brush. Yusuf message has been retracted. That's mystery. I didn't see it. Hi Nico, love the new graphics. Great to hear that. I think I need to switch it on so that it's actually off, so that it doesn't turn on accidentally. Yeah, so one thing that I do, I think the light is weird. I think that if I show some kind of like blue thing very close to this thing, it ends up often sort of like resetting the white balance, the camera. Yes, now I have skin color, at least, of some kind. I just noticed that the light was super bright for me to work here earlier, so maybe it's a little bit low light, but I don't feel like my face needs that much light anyway. It's not good for people to see me that much. Okay, let's start doing some stick figures. I'm gonna start with a kind of like dark color first. Like maybe want there to be a little bit of light behind so I can actually read my own silhouette a bit better. Otherwise all of this is gonna be just absolute nonsense. Let's face it, it might be nonsense anyway, but I'm trying. Damn it. I think with stick figures, it's much easier for me to like focus on like the gesture. And just mold it almost like clay somehow. You can see it on the other screen on OBS in smaller scale, so that helps. I think this entire leg could be in a different pose. And just like shape it. To me, this is more like sculpting than drawing. Just painting with volume is sort of its own technique. And I know that for somebody who is like used to drawing, this might look really weird, but trust me, I guess. Like, I'm not super experienced in like doing people, but this is the only way that I get to any sort of results. I kind of like the rhythm in one of the thighs. I'm gonna try to just capitalize on that. Now it's kind of like bulging on both sides at the same time, which is not good. With movement, I don't know, like maybe this is a personal style thing, but like sometimes I just prefer to like go overboard rather than get too subtle with it. And now I'm just using overlapping cylinder shapes to just visualize the foreshortening here. Maybe it should be lower. I can hear Vivi doing like maybe nightmare noises, or maybe she's chasing a rabbit on a field in her sleep. Okay, I don't know if that's gonna be a foot, but that's something that I can maybe sort out later. I'm just gonna need to like figure out the angles of these pelvic and shoulder areas. Also, thanks everybody for letting me know about the sound. It really means a lot to me, because like the way that I listen to sound, maybe I'm like over focusing always on music because of course I don't want to hear my own voice. So for me, like even though my hearing is fine, it's difficult for me to evaluate what the viewer experience is like on that end. How is everybody doing? I hope you're having a great weekend. The body is like slowly coming together. I think I just need to think about the lines. Then here, knee, here, knee. I think maybe the entire thing should be a little bit longer. I'm gonna go into crop and resize and then just extend the canvas a little bit because I don't wanna end it in an awkward position. Hello, Tired Finnish Dad. Just love that name. I'm gonna try to keep it like as full screen as possible. Is it? Yes. Okay, now we have a little bit more room for that movement of the leg. And get some sort of like calf muscle going on in there. I think the top half is just like absolutely forked. Foot needs to be bigger. Probably in like every direction first. This sort of stuff is just like so high pressure for me personally to figure out on a live stream, so please go easy on me. How am I going to learn if I never challenge myself with this stuff? My head is like maybe a little bit too tilted. Hard edges always make things easier to see. I'm just gonna grab some of this like super dark color and try to find what the entire like composition vibe here is. Finnish Dad is saying, my evening is a total chaos. The 5-year-old has demanded that he is now old enough to watch the hockey game that starts 1.5 hours past his bedtime because of the national importance of it. Okay. Wow. Well, I was probably 5-year-old when I watched my last hockey game. And that was ages and ages ago when that one time Finland won. I mean, no offense to hockey, I'm sure that it's a great sport, but you would have to pay me quite a lot of money to spend an entire hockey game watching it. It's just like, I could not, absolutely not put myself through that. And maybe I'm just like a bad couch sports person to begin with, because I don't even watch the type of sports that I am personally interested in. Like, I don't watch running competitions. If I watch running, I watch these running vlogs where people do like long distance running, like journeys on their own, and then they kind of film their entire race experience or ultra marathon stuff. Like, I find that interesting, but I guess it's nowhere close because it has storytelling in it, and I'm more interested in the sort of like personal stories and challenges that people have in those situations and how they overcome them, and just seeing somebody kind of push themselves to their limits. I sort of need to hear and process that whole thing for it to be interesting to me. I picked these sort of colors that I think could be like skin tone bases in this palette. But that's of course always very subjective, what skin tone should be in what situation. Not sure about that like arm position, like it's interesting, like maybe there could be a little bit more movement in it, so that's something that I will probably revisit. I'm gonna be like squinting a lot throughout this stream, just to see how it looks. And I might go back and just do a lot of like adjustments. Like for example, this entire arm position. Maybe like this. It's better to think of this process more like sculpting, that I'm sculpting the shape rather than knowing exactly what it is that I'm doing. Is this a new layer? Yes. Don't worry, there will be clothes. Oh, Setsuna. Hello. Long time no see. Glad to hear you are around. I hope everything is going well for you. Finnish Dad is saying, I swear the kids these days are too smart already in kindergarten. That's gives me hope to hear that. Because sometimes when I hear about what kids are doing these days, I'm just like, oh no. These people are going to be able to vote sooner or later. Setsuna, like, since you're here, do you have any good game recommendations? because I know that we have kind of similar taste in games. Okay. I know it's not like there yet, but what I want to do with this shirt is I want to give it sort of like floaty feeling. Like it's almost like zero gravity. Maybe tone it down a little bit. And then maybe some kind of shorts, because there is some sort of like good movement happening in the legs that I am happy with. I know that for you guys it might seem really hard to see right now, but that is actually something that I don't hate. So darker base so I can differentiate between those. Office job. Glad to hear that. That's pretty cool. I know that you don't like going to the office, but honestly, I miss going to the office. Like when I had a day job and workmates to meet every day, I think that was so fun. I mean, like, not the job itself, like I really did not like that job. I'm much happier painting, but I miss going out for lunch with the people there and the office parties. Like, I love that. Like, they were a great group of people to hang out with. Let's pick a lighter color for skin to do some very rough light blocking. From some direction. I guess I need to decide that first. I'm just gonna do myself a quick arrow. Otherwise I will be absolutely lost with the whole thing. Does that make sense? Maybe like a little bit rotated for drama. I'm just like doing like basic planes of the head blocks right now. That's part of the sculpting that I am in right now. I'm not thinking about where the eyes are or where I'm gonna paint eyebrows. I'm just thinking about the structure. All of the detail stuff I can put on later. This ends up landing anywhere close. Okay. Not terrible. Whoop. I totally lost where I thought that the knee was because I put the pants on, so I need to take them out for a while. If I don't know where the knee is, this is not gonna be a fun experience for me. Does that look like a knee place? Maybe. Or lower down. Maybe lower down. Yeah, since the calf is here and it's bending backwards. Okay. I think the left hand is like a very awkward position, and I just don't see, like, as a composition where I'm gonna go with it. Let's just try other things. Hades and Hades 2. My man keeps recommending those to me. Yeah, I really loved playing Rogue Legacy. So I've heard that Hades has maybe like some sort of RPG progression mechanics that aren't so punishing as roguelikes are. Because some roguelikes, like for example Dead Pixels that I have tried, but just losing so much of the progression when you die in that game, it just doesn't feel super motivating for somebody who hasn't got that much time for playing games. I'm still playing Pokemon Fire Red, so I've been playing it forever now. Mikko, have you ever done any wall murals, or what is the biggest piece you've completed? Well, biggest piece, that's such a tricky question with digital art. With oil painting, of course, the biggest pieces that I have completed are around like almost 2 meters wide and 1 meter tall. So that's a big investment for any type of painter when it comes to just like the sheer materials. But when it comes to digital art, I don't know, Finnish Dad, where you are located in Finland. But if you ever go to Itäkeskus metro station and look at the wall there, that's the biggest piece that I have ever done. I don't think in my lifetime I probably won't be able to do like any art that is going to be bigger than that. It's 30 paintings of metro. And if you ever go there, go to the very far right piece, the very last one that is almost in the tunnel already. And if you look very closely to the lower right, near the last door of the metro, you will see that I have painted my couch carrots inside the metro. It might look like they are some of them that are copies, but I made each one of the cars a little bit unique. Now that this has changed, I think I can get the creases looking a little bit more dynamic. so hard to like look at this painting when it's so huge. It's just way too big in front of me right now, so I'm just basically looking at a tiny thumbnail on the screen that is this entire stream in the YouTube browser. But when you're painting, you can also use that sort of like navigation tool. I think they have that now in Procreate, and that's doing the same thing. I just don't have it open because it would make the screen look more cluttered. And this way I can more easily see when people are writing things in the chat. That's when I'm saying I recently finished Hi-Fi Rush, which was a lot of fun, very quirky and witty. I love the look of Hi-Fi Rush. I have it on Steam, and I have played a little bit of the beginning, but there was like one part where I got completely stuck. I think it was some sort of like rhythm thing that you need to get through a tutorial. I have terrible sense of rhythm. I love the idea of rhythm games, but I have absolutely no sense of rhythm whatsoever. Doing hands this way is so much easier than doing them with line art. Like, this would not be a fun time for me if I tried to do this with line art, this part. Oops, I thought I was working on a clipping mask. this is not dark enough, so I'm gonna darken it a bit. I'm not doing any sort of creases. I think the one rule that I always try to kind of think about in my head is that I try to do every shape with a triangle, and then I just make sure that each triangle is a little bit different to give it that sort of like chaotic nature of the fabric. By doing that gradient, I just get a ton of colors that I can color pick from in this sort of low contrast area. Terranil is shooting. I really want to play Terranil. It's been on my wish list for ages, and I've commented several times on the Terranil forums because I want to play it, but I am playing on Steam Deck, and they have said in the official forums that they are going to be adding controller support for it. But it has been very low on the priority list for the developers, but maybe at some point they will. The thing that I think is like strangely weird about me as a gamer, like weird in a sense that like I don't understand how more people aren't like this, that sorry, got distracted by my own folds, that I really don't see why I would ever play like an early access game, which Terranil was forever in early access. So that's why I am talking about this, because like there's so many games that I have yet to play that are amazing games that have gotten like great reviews, games that are already in my Steam library because I bought them from a sale at some point. That playing something that is not even officially released and it looks like a game might have a long development time, like post-launch, that there would be a lot of updates and quality of life improvements and more content. Why would I play it like right away and not wait for that game to be probably cheaper if I buy it later and have just like tons and tons of stuff in it when I eventually end up playing it? I think this sleeve could be a little bit bigger. Maybe like more chaotic somehow. Like crumbling gold here. What if it like here and here? But I think it's so common that like the way that game industry is moving right now, it seems like everybody is buying and playing these early access games, and then when the game is officially released, it's almost like it's forgotten. It's already old news when it's out. Which is strange. It could be also that so much of game industry is being sort of like driven by young consumers that have way more time to play games than I do, and they are sort of like more excited to play the newest latest thing right when it's out. To quickly flip this horizontally to just check how I'm doing. Am I working on a clipping mask? No. Always forget it. I really want to like cut out the contrast here because otherwise it's going to pull attention to the fact that I have cut the leg in a really awkward spot. Like 100% happy with that, but just chipping away at it slowly. I'm going to use a darken layer, darker color. Now bring this entire area down a little bit. Kind of like that bright green color, and just to give all of this stress a tiny break for a while, I'm now just going to do a little bit of nonsense, which I hope you will just excuse me. But there's a lot of design choices that I just did in a short amount of time. That's 1 hour. Oh dear lord, I'm sweating bullets over here. Let me just do a little bit of like squigglies. Zoom in here. Somebody's liking the light and shadow. Thank you. But if the mood is there, then it will sort of like motivate me to get the rest of the technical stuff eventually. Finnish Dad is saying, one of the more difficult parts of my 6-month paternity leave will definitely be not to see my work family that I usually see 48 hours a week at the firehouse. Still won't change plans. Also, congratulations on becoming a father. I assume, again, based on what you have said here before. I really like this sort of greenish hue I have here. Maybe it could be like one way to use as a magnet, sort of introduce the rest of the painting here. And hello to Mexico. And also Garfield Girly saying, haven't watched one of your streams in years. Holy crap, I didn't realize you drew humans so well, but I have figured. Like, well is questionable. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is just going to be a whole lot of work after the stream, and I will 100% find tons of things like after sleeping on it and then seeing it the next day with fresh eyes that I am going to be making like proportion mistakes here, and there are gonna be things that are going to annoy you, and I'm just not gonna be able to see it because I will be staring at this for so long, and that's just the way it is, honestly. There's something about the light on the shirt that I kind of like. It's contrasting with the darkness kind of nicely. Shirt is sort of missing a shadow side, which is always hard to decide because it's such a big decision. And honestly, like one of the most painful things about painting any kind of people at all is that you're always making decisions, always. There's no automated mode for any of this. I'm gonna do like one big blobby shape. Fine tune the edge later. Moikka Vivi. Sä voit tulla tänne kyllä, jos sä haluat. My producer woke up. Go in a little bit closer and try to figure out what this whole mess is over here. Oof. Yikes. I have my work cut out for me. To figure out where the jawbone is. And then just go from there. I must always start the highlights from this like one part, which is probably a bad habit since light can have its specular moment pretty much anywhere. Also have to remember that I'm super zoomed in currently, which might not be great. I still want the painting to work from a distance and not people to think of this as sort of like eyelashes type of a painting, but a painting. Whoop. This doesn't really do that much for the entire painting, but I usually like to paint like dark skin color underneath the hair, so that when I'm working on the hair I don't have to worry about some sort of like bright skin color peeking through the whole thing, which might look bad. For the hair, I'm sort of like this like first idea that I already put in for it. So maybe that is something that I could just focus in on. And maybe have this as like, sort of like my fun paint time whenever things start feeling a little bit too scary. Because when is painting hair not fun? Like, as much work and as much sort of like scariness there is to drawing characters and painting people, painting hair is honestly always fun. Hair is like the clouds of people. Bring in some of those green tones from the hair. Actually, I'm still on the hair layer. Damn it. Ugh. Okay. Let's separate this wig from the person. Whoop. Can I see it? Not sure. And these sort of features, like it's Eventually it's just sculpting. So I think if I'm more okay with just making more mistakes, then I will be able to narrow down what type of design choices to close. I think there I could cut out a little bit of that forehead from here. I'm trying to think of the whole thing as sort of like value blocks, if that makes sense, instead of outlines. If you would rather think of these shapes as outlines, that's fine as well, but it's just a completely different type of approach. Oh, thank you about the colors. For the members, I'm gonna put the palette for the members download folder. I'm gonna make one as soon as possible after this stream, but for you, you can just also just screenshot it right now if you wanna get it here. I think lips are always hard, and especially like lips on men. I find that those are like even harder than on women. Instead of like trying to smooth everything, I'm trying to sort of like sculpt it almost like I am using an axe on wood, because that way I can design shapes. But if I just blend everything together, then the entire structure of the planes of the head is sort of like goes missing from me, and it's really hard for me to work if I get to that sort of a situation. I think the facial expression is sort of not at all what I want yet. There's just so much forehead. I'm washing away some of these like darkest shadows so I can find a place maybe for the eyebrow. Just joined. What's the thought behind this new painting? Winston Smithen is asking. I'm trying to think of a proper way to answer that. It's sort of personal. And usually I don't feel like super uncomfortable talking about those things. Like I'm kind of an oversharer. But I don't know if the painting will like speak for itself. There's like a weird like zoom in like thing that happens when I touch the screen. I think it's because the screen is getting hotter as the stream has sort of progressed a little bit already. I'm gonna just do a new layer so I can test the placement for this eyebrow works. Maybe a little bit higher. I'm just gonna squeeze it a little bit from here. The other eyebrow is slightly too low. I'm gonna grab some of this color, then sculpt it up higher. slowly getting there. Probably would not recommend like zooming in this much on a face for a long time, but since we are working with the portrait brush, might as well work on the face a little bit more than usual. Did I just lower this eyebrow and I'm going back up with it? Yes. Am I sorry that I'm doing it? Probably. I'm still working on the lighten layer, that's why I don't see anything. It's like what I received after ordering from Temu. It's like a massive baggy shirt. Am I still working on a lighten layer? Yes, I am. Doing the same mistake, just like repeatedly, over and over. Will I ever learn? Also, probably not. Oh, is this a pencil? No, it's the actual iPad. I do have power cord. Are we getting power, people? Is it attached? I hope it is. It's very common that when I go and invert the layer mask and then I go into painting, I'm somehow in erase mode that I don't remember initiating. It can't be a coincidence. Like maybe it's a user error on my part that I do something that I'm not like consciously thinking of, but it just happens so often. It's strange. At that moment again, I'm like, am I on the right layer? What's going on here? The thing is that like you can be too sure, and you can be too sure by spending a whole lot of time by checking it over and over. I think I'm going to, I know that we've been working on this for a while, but I'm gonna expand the canvas a little bit to the right so that the hand isn't like awkwardly touching the edge of the painting. should I just try to block in more of that hand? Where is it? Here. I think it could have a little bit more flow to the position. This part I want there to be a little bit more bend upward. And then on the other side, like rein it in. Have that sort of like natural flow to it. Then I just erase this. Attach it properly. You could have like some of this light color up on the thumb, just like whoop, a little bit, reminding you that it's there. I'm gonna lower the opacity of that light cone layer because like at this point it's starting to negatively affect the composition because I'm looking at it too much. Am I doing on time? We're approaching 2 hours. I'm gonna sample some of this skin tone here as well. Kind of like try to work it in here. The surroundings in some way. I love that like with these sort of elements I can go kind of abstract. Oh. What's that? Like I put the eraser on like completely by accident. I don't know. Does anybody else have that? Like is it just a me problem? Hey Mikko, have you tried Heavy Paint? It's a really cool painting software. I haven't, but I probably should. Is it for iPad or is it on PC? If it's on Mac, I don't have a Mac. But otherwise, I'm keen to try out new things. I really like the way that the sort of like greenish tones are contrasting with the skin tone. It's just working on the palette sometimes pays off. It often pays off, like when you're thinking about the color harmonies. And then when they sort of like come together in the painting, it's almost like a surprise that like, oh, here is how those colors are going to work. It's always like a fun and an interesting surprise to me. think it's now the mood is sort of like slowly getting in there. I think the skin could use a little bit of like graying in areas. So I'm just gonna do a duplication of the entire skin layer and then just do a grayer version and a greener view of it. Use that skin color to grade. Hair color. I don't know why it's not filling the entire layer. This is what I want. Oh, wrong color. Trying to lighten up this shadow as the light would be bouncing here between the light shirt and the chin, and that would bring up some sort of like warmer light as well. Sorry if I sometimes zoom in a lot. I'm trying to keep this visible for you. Sometimes I just... It's almost like I forget that I'm doing a live stream. When I'm so concentrated, it's almost like my brain just dumps all the other information that is not necessary at that moment. Which is not great, obviously. I also have this other painting that I did, was it like 2 days ago in the membership live stream? I'm really happy about the mood in that piece. It's a landscape piece, but it's sort of like saying the same thing through a landscape. No, somehow it's kind of like easier for me to put my motions into landscapes these days, as I've been using similar type of symbolism for a while now. Yeah, but I need a little bit more coffee. It's getting quite late in here. I think I'm probably gonna go for 1 more hour, because I think I'm sort of rolling along at an okay pace at this point. It's not like I have anything else to do, and I have just put coffee into my body at, what is it, 10 p.m? Which means that, like, this night's sleep is basically already ruined. So might as well make the most out of it. And the inside of the shirt needs definition. Whoop. This is not what I was supposed to do. Alpha lock. Let's do a clipping mask. I've been doing everything through clipping masks, so why change my ways now? I like the hair. Makes me miss the time when I had blue hair. Too expensive to keep though. It wasn't blue, it was kind of this color, honestly. Let's work on it a little bit. Have some kind of movement. I think at this point I could maybe put the color palette here, unless somebody hasn't screenshot it yet and they want to screenshot it. This is your chance. Really happy with how lucky I've gotten with the music in this live stream. It's just exactly the right mood that I need. I think if I had some sort of like higher tempo music, it would be very hard for me to keep within this very limited color palette and try to sort of like aggressively seek out more contrasting hue and saturation contrasts. That would really destroy the mood of this piece. just want it to be kind of fluffy and not so contrasting because the light isn't harsh. It's kind of soft, and I think I'm sort of fascinated having it mix into these rippling swirls in the background as well. It's not quite clear where they start and where the edge of the hair is happening. These sort of blends always make my layer structure make no sense, because there really isn't like one single item that this is the head or this is the hair, and then they are separate at some point. All of the layers in this type of painting style that I do, like all merge. The ripples are the hair and the skin at the same time. And that's just how it works. Thank you, Elma. I think one way that you can kind of sell this type of hairstyle easily is also doing a separate shadow that is sort of like faking shadows from individual like hair clumps. It might look like it requires some sort of like photographic knowledge of how light works, but I learned from one concept artist that I used to work with that if you just do it confidently enough, then you can kind of get away with stuff. Like even if it isn't like accurate. I hope I'm not like putting bad habits into your painting. I also want to be clear that like when I was doing character designs, I wasn't doing this style at all. Like this sort of like more painterly way of doing characters, like it wasn't something that I knew how to do back then at all. So learning to sort of implement this way of painting, the way that I paint environments, into people. Like that's still completely new to me. This is absolutely the closest that I should ever be zooming. The painting isn't meant to be looked at this close. Just there are like few contrast areas that I want to sort out. It's way too big of a brush. This part is bothering me. I'm gonna cut this highlight. Into to suggest an eyelid happening here. I'm not gonna draw the line for it. I'm just gonna break the highlight. Having a shadow for that color also could probably be a small detail, but something that would give it a little bit more definition here, where the color is lifting off the skin. Maybe I could have a little bit of that light over here as well. You suggest that the clothing has bunched up here, as we see all of those folds later. It's a small detail, but it just rounds it up a little bit, in my opinion. I'm dividing the areas into zones, the color zones. The top half is the gold zone, middle part is the red zone, and the lower half is the blue zone on most people's faces. I'm cranking up the reds from shadows, only from the shadows. Then I'm gonna scratch in this texture a little bit. Whoa. By first giving it a black mask, and then with a white brush, scratching it in. This is just for texture. I want the surrounding darkness to have this sort of like depth to it. if I do a print out of this, that when you look at it, you will keep noticing these sort of nuances over time. I really like that. Almost like print design aspect of composition. You know how some paintings are just like, once you see it, you have seen all of it. But some paintings are ones where you can kind of keep looking at it for a longer time and it will keep surprising you with new things. I like that. It's almost like we see through water surface while we are still in the water. Which in a logical sense doesn't really make any sense. But it's almost like giving that more like sinking feeling to what you see. Just need like one color that could be used as a sort of like a distant highlight, but still it here somehow. Like a hint of a heel. I'm probably gonna be doing this part so many times, honestly. And this is like where the sculpting method gets really challenging when you are working with extremely low contrast. It can be sometimes hard to even see what you're doing. Transfer some of these knee colors. What is the 10% battery remaining? Is this electricity not going into the damn thing? but I need to check that this is like actually in the. Okay. Just give me a second. Like I don't know if OBS is not gonna like this, but I need to check that it is. It's just that I am hanging at 10% electricity all the time, so maybe it's not charging it quickly enough. So when I exit the mask by tapping the screen, it will automatically go into erasure. It's not me being crazy. It's a real thing that happens. I don't know if I should have like a plan B for if the electricity runs out. I guess I'm kind of doing a painting already. So in case the electricity cuts out right now, then I think the idea is already there. I just noticed that like this part doesn't have any sort of like definition. I want to keep communicating that the shirt is white, so I don't want to go too dark with the shadows. thumb is somewhere over here. And I'm just gonna extend this part. And think about where the fingers are. First, I always start thinking about how they are in a mitten, and only then go into individual. I think there's already like one finger accidentally there. I could just add one more here. And then hint a knuckle somehow. Okay, let's see that from further away. I think, yep, looks like a hand to me. Good enough. The bar is not high, people. Sort of low. Where is pinch? Here. You don't have to use these blend effects when you are doing this type of caustics thing. You can just use the squiggle lines and have them as a sort of like a cheat guide on a separate layer like this. And for example, for this sort of like caustics effect, if you want the surface texture to remain constant and have the sort of like same scaling to it, you can just do a transformation like this. Just make it sure that it's somehow in place there. Honestly, this is not so precise. You can get away with quite a bit of cheating here. And now that it's in there, like instead of just like leaving it like this, I could just paint on top of this and use the scaling as sort of an indication of when these sort of like squiggles need to get tighter and more horizontal, and when I can open up that pattern to fake the perspective getting towards the surface. Just what kind of sizes of cells I have in between these, that's all. So when it's done, you can get rid of the entire texture itself and then just have this shape language reference for yourself to keep it consistent. And once you keep doing this for long enough, then you will have sort of like a substantial mass that is already selling that perspective effect, whether you have that layer on or not. Okay, we're coming up on 3 hours, so I think this is a good place to end the stream since my iPad is honestly running out of power and it looks like it's not gaining power quickly enough back to keep it alive. The shorts are missing the caustics effect, so I think I could put it in here. But do you have any questions of this, or like, did you get any painting yourself done? I think it's always cool when people do their own art during these streams. I think that's the best way to utilize these. I'm gonna go into liquify, and now instead of pinch, I'm gonna use expand, and then just push out the size a little bit thicker around these thighs. We get some chunky thighs happening here. And I can also pull down the caustics with push the sides. That's it. And like often in the end of these streams, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of lighting effects. It's way too early for this painting, but in the painting process, this can also sort of make you feel more optimistic about where the painting is going. So it's by no means forbidden. Excuse me. These glows kind of bring it more sort of like a dreamy vibe, in my opinion. I'm gonna try to tint them a little bit with color and then bring this down lightly. That means that all of the glows are sort of colored by the surrounding water. Okay, we are officially over 3 hours. Out of curiosity, I just want to see if that whole battery is actually gaining battery or not. Thank you, Namation. Can you imagine that when I started painting and posting my art online back then, like in the dawn of digital art, basically, I actually had to apologize for having brushstrokes visible in a painting. It was so common that like everything had to be just like perfectly blended and smooth back then. It really was how most of digital art looked like, and people expected it to look a certain way. I think it's so cool that these days, if you start painting digitally, you can pretty much paint however you want. We're getting closer and closer to the freedom that people have in traditional medium in how to paint what they want. like technology has never been a limitation. It's more about the culture surrounding digital art and what you can and what you can't do, and still have people look at your art. I know that I have a long way to go with this painting, but it sort of feels like a dream to me. And that makes it sort of... I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. I know that I'm gonna regret these words, because tomorrow when I wake up and I open this thing, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, why is the arm 5 meters too long and the face is completely unsymmetrical, and I'm so embarrassed that I did that last night on a live stream. But if I have that moment, then that means that I can see the mistakes and I need to do notes for what to fix as quickly as humanly possible. It's a very sort of like limited closing time gap that you have when you've been away, and then when you return to your painting, when you can still see the mistakes. So I usually either make a layer right away and then just like do like quick marks of red everywhere that I need to fix. Or sometimes when I've been working on like commercial projects and I have tons of different layers and like small things to fix, sometimes I take not these kind of post-it notes, but like much smaller ones. There are sort of like finger-sized post-it notes, and I can make like notes on it, like what to fix, and then I will like physically put it on my computer screen. So like I can only remove it when, like, as I'm removing it, I am fixing that thing, and then it just gives me that sort of sense of progression that like with every post-it note that I remove from the screen, I am getting closer to like working through those things. And it's so annoying to have like visibility blocked off by the post-it notes that it's a very efficient way for me to get work done, to get my vision back, basically. Okay, I know that like usually people come to this channel for landscapes and weird animals. There's gonna be more of those. Reason why I don't do characters anymore is because I didn't like working on characters on commercial projects. There's just like too much politics involved, and it's just something that I didn't have the fight in me for. I love doing people, but that's how I started painting back in the day. Like way back when I didn't even do digital art, when I did watercolor paintings all day, every day with my friends at school. Where can we see the finished piece you used for the thumbnail? On Instagram? It's on Instagram already. And there's also a live stream. I did it on a live stream here. But like that was also one of those things where I had to do just like tons of symmetry fixing after the live stream. But yeah. I think like generally like skin smoothness, I don't want to like remove all the brushwork away from it, but that takes a lot of time to clean up. You can find me on Instagram with the name Angry Mikko. Silvinka is saying, I have been watching from the start and drawing at the same time. That's amazing. There's like no reason to apologize for being quiet. I think I would rather have everybody be completely quiet and fixed on their own art. I think that's the best thing for me when I know that somebody has actually gotten some painting done. I'm really looking forward to doing more of these squiggles. That's gonna be fun. Like, there's something I like about this part of the legs, but like this part of the leg, I definitely need to work on more. I think it's just like having an overall gradient at the bottom could also remove some of its importance. Maybe in lighten layer, it's just like here. I think that helps a lot. I don't feel like I'm cutting awkwardly at the angle anymore. And the arms also fit. I do my name here. And scale it down because I'm not an egomaniac. Nobody cares about who made this painting that much. And that's it. It's like drawing with a friend, Silvinka is saying, even though we have never met. I feel like I'm drawing with friends as well when I'm doing this, honestly. I was just talking about this yesterday, that like I don't really like have friends that I meet, honestly, but I never feel lonely anymore after I quit working full-time, like in a normal job, and started YouTube. Because I feel like here I have found my kind of people, and at work I always felt like I was surrounded by people, but there was this sort of like wall between us that I was like pretending to be a version of myself that I didn't feel comfortable with. But here there's this weight lifted off my shoulder that I can just be myself. And I think that the best way for me to be myself is to make art, because that to me is like the most honest way to communicate. And I don't feel like I need to censor myself in these paintings. I never feel like, is this too personal or awkward to be like this sort of like emotional in front of other people anymore, because this feels like it's a very safe space. And there hasn't been, for example, any sort of monitoring in the comments. People are just so nice here, and I'm just so grateful for you guys for being that way. I was so afraid when I started YouTube that like I would be just like bullied by random people online, and none of that has happened, honestly. It's just like my wildest dreams of finding just really kind, creative people have come true this way. And I know that I haven't been painting for a while, so now I will just end this stream and say thank you to all of you, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. I think I went overboard with the reds in the dark, but anyway, bye!